Hello peeps and welcome back to another one with us, the Review Bros, and today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different actually, so you have to bear with us because we're not really a techie channel, but we're going to be delving into the Ticwatch Pro Ultra Free GPS. It's quite a mouthful, isn't it? But yeah, I've been rocking this for the last couple of weeks, so I'm going to let you know my impressions, you know, just go through all the usuals as if we would if it was a supplement. So stick with us as we do that. And if you're new here, please do, if you enjoy the video of course, hit the subscribe button, tick the bell icon, give the video a like, and drop down your thoughts on this if you've used it, if you want it. You know, do you have a smartwatch? What are your thoughts on them? Do you find them useful? All the usuals. Let's roll. So first and foremost, let's delve into the unboxing of this smartwatch. What exactly are you getting for your money? Well, let's take a look. And you might think it's ironic that I'm actually wearing my Apple Watch during this review, but I use it for my filming, so don't judge me. I'm going to keep an unbiased mind. In fact, it's quite good because I'll make some comparisons against the Apple Watch as we move through the review. So anyway, let's see what we're getting in the box. So all looks very nice and premium. You've got some a quick guide that shows you basically how to set the watch up, the settings, etc. You've got your product safety information, your charge cable, and of course the Ticwatch itself. And that's all there is to say on the unboxing side of things, guys. You know, nice premium packaging, not too confusing, you know, you're not getting overwhelmed with too many leaflets, cables, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's move on to the next segment. So how much is this smartwatch going to set you back? Well, if you head over to Amazon, you'll find it on there for £202.99, reduced from £289.99. So it's been, you know, discounted quite heavily. And when you compare it to the Apple Watch and other smartwatches, you know, kind of on its level, that is a bargain of a price. So if you like what I have to say about it in this review, do head over there and have a look. But anyway, let's move on to the next segment. So let's move into the slightly more exciting part of this review and talk about the actual design of the smartwatch. Let's have a close look. So right off the bat you get the impression it's a very nice premium, well put together, robust, substantial product. And that is the case. You know, it does look like it could survive being bashed around. And if I had to put my money on, you know, this or my Apple Watch as to which one I think would survive 3 rounds of Mike Tyson, my money would be on the Ticwatch. It just looks and feels a lot more robust. And so if you are someone that likes to wear your smartwatch, you know, when you're doing outdoor activities, if you're into your fitness, you know, mountain biking, rock climbing, you name it, this would fare very well. Because not only does it feel very well put together and robust and look like it could survive a good knock-in, but also it has got Gorilla Glass on the screen, so it's going to be very scratch resistant. It's also dust resistant. It's also water resistant. So yeah, ain't nothing penetrating this watch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure something would. But yeah, it's very well made. It looks very premium. It feels premium. Obviously, you've got the rubber straps on the watch that come right out of the box. You can swap them out for other ones if you want to, but the rubber ones do actually feel really nice, to be fair, and it is surprisingly comfortable. Obviously, you get the nice big fat bezel around the touchscreen there, the dual touchscreen. More on that in a little bit. You've got the 2 buttons on the side. One is the power button, one's the function button. They do serve their individual purposes in actually using the watch. So yeah, I think that covers the general design of the watch. So let's move on. Okay, so just thought I'd do a quick little segment on the startup and the setup of the watch really. So all you got to do to turn it on is hold down the power button for a few seconds and it will boot up. You'll then be introduced with a fancy animation and then you'll be nudged to basically download the Wear OS app on your phone, which is essentially like, you know, like how the iPhone has the Apple Watch app. It's kind of like that for Androids or for Google. So you literally go on the App Store, download the Wear OS app, and then it lets you link it to your watch, sync it all up, and then it boots up and then you're good to go. On this app you've got various settings. You can choose which watch face you want, you can make a custom watch face, you can choose what notifications you are allowed to ping through to your watch. You know, there's a whole bunch of settings within the app that obviously carry over to the watch. And that is all there is to say on the startup side of things, guys. It literally only takes a few minutes. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this review and take a look at the display and the features. So as I mentioned earlier, it's got a dual display, and you might be thinking, what the hell do you mean by a dual display? Well, it's actually got two displays, one on top of the other. So it's got a basic, you know, an everyday watch kind of screen on the top, and then an LED sort of premium looking screen underneath, shall we put it. So their thought process and reasoning behind this is that obviously this is a watch at the end of the day, and battery life is key, isn't it? You don't want to be charging it every 5 seconds, and these LED screens are quite taxing on the battery life. So they thought, oh, we'll do this then. So when you're obviously just going around, you know, day-to-day life, and you only need to use it as a watch, it's using this normal screen, should we put it, not the LED one, the cheap battery conservative style screen. So that obviously just shows you basic information. It shows you your time, the date, your step count, battery life. So all the while this is idle on your wrist and you're just treating it like an everyday watch, it's going to be using that battery conserving dim screen, not the LED one. So basically it's a battery conserving method, and it does work very, very well. I'll touch more on that in a little bit. So yeah, you just raise your wrist, the backlight comes on, you can see the basic information like I said. And if you then want to turn it into the smartwatch, you then push that button, boom, the LED screen comes up, and then from there, you know, you can do whatever you like, cycle through all the apps, you know, all the smartwatch type stuff. There is also a feature where you can put it in, I believe, essential mode, where it literally just activates the sort of normal screen permanently. So if you've lost your charger and you just want to use it as just a watch with the date and time for a good couple of weeks, for example, and you don't want it to run out of battery, you can put essential mode on, and it gets rid of any smartwatch features, and it just becomes an absolute bog standard watch. So I really like that, because yeah, if you are in a sticky situation and for whatever reason, you know, maybe you're out camping or whatever, and you're like, shit, I haven't got my charger, but I really, really do need this this watch so I can tell the time, the date, and you know, the basic information you'd wear a watch for really, then you can just activate essential mode and you're golden. But let's talk about the battery life if you are just using it as a smartwatch and you know, you're just using it to a moderate degree like your average Joe. I'm getting around 2 days worth of usage out of this, like I said, with moderate usage, which is definitely better than my Apple Watch. You know, my Apple Watch don't even see from morning till late evening, and then I need to put it on charge. So this is much better battery life than my Apple Watch. Granted, I've got the Series 4, I don't doubt they've probably come a long way since then. I think there's been a few more since that one I've got, but my point still stands. Great battery life. Like I said, lasts me a good couple of days, and it charges from dead to full charge within about 3 hours, I experienced. So yeah, it's very usable. The battery life doesn't interfere with your day-to-day process. You know, it's not a hindrance to the watch by any stretch. So I'll just show you a quick video of me whipping around the user interface just so you can get a feel for what it's like really. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You swipe up, down, left, right. You've got your the power button on the top right, which if you click that, it brings up all your apps. You've got the functionality button on the bottom right. If you click that, it brings up the fitness app, where obviously you can track all your workouts and whatnot if you're into that kind of thing. So yeah, it's very responsive. I don't know that I'd say it's quicker than my Apple Watch. I would say it's about on par with my Apple Watch. You know, I've not noticed it stagger or be particularly slow, but I've also not been blown away. So I would say, yeah, it's very comparable to my Apple Watch in terms of performance. So if we're talking about apps, you know, what have we got here? You've got a bunch of health apps, you know, Tick Health, Tick Exercise, Tick Pulse, Tick Sleep. I mean, I'm not going to read them all, you can see them for yourself, but it's got a whole host of apps. Obviously, you can download more from the Google app to your heart's content, really. The only downside for me with this watch and its functionality is it is limited because I have an iPhone, and I believe that, you know what Apple are like, they've not allowed certain functionality, so I don't think you can read or reply to messages on this. You can just get the notification of the text, but you can't actually reply or interact with that message via the watch. But like I said, it's not the watch's fault, it's Apple's fault, because they won the monopoly for their own smartwatches. Another little setback for me coming from the Apple Watch as well is obviously I have AirPods and I use them at the gym and work and all sorts, and I feel like the functionality is a lot more in depth and just better all around going through the Apple Watch versus this Ticwatch. Again, it's because of Apple, isn't it? So whilst with this you can pause, play, skip and see what music you're listening to, that you do get that come up on the watch, you can't go delving into the music library and, you know, all of that kind of in-depth stuff that you can do on your Apple Watch. But again, that's Apple restricting certain elements, so I can't really fault the watch for it. But I do think to get the best experience with this, to get all of the functionality, you're going to want an Android phone. So just before I move on to the final segment of this review, I'm just going to flash up on the screen all the techie specs of the watch just for you guys, you know, for anyone's interested, it'll be there for you. Okay, so final part of the review. How was my experience with this watch and what's my final verdict of it? Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I've been using this for the past couple of weeks since we received it, and I swapped out my Apple Watch for this bad boy as my new daily driver. So first and foremost, let's talk about comfortability. So I myself prefer having the smaller watch, the smaller phone. You know, I've got the iPhone 12 mini or whatever it's called. So I prefer stuff that's a bit more mobile, easier, you know, just less, doesn't get in the way basically. So going from a small Apple Watch to this big bugger, it was quite a shock at first. You know, I was like, Jesus Christ, like, I'm very aware that it's there. Whereas when I've got this little Apple Watch on, it's just, you know, don't really feel it. So that was the first thing, but to be honest with you, I got used to that quite quickly. You know, I would say within the first few hours, and then like anything really, you just kind of adapt to it, don't you, and get on with it. So at first the added mass and size and weight was a bit like, oh, I don't know, this ain't really me. But then I kind of come to like it. I kind of like the more robust, kind of manly look, I guess, because the Apple Watch is just kind of like delicate, isn't it, and kind of boring to look at. This is just a bit more to it. So the whole look and feel and comfortability factor definitely grew on me in time. I don't know that I'd opt for it as a daily driver forever, because ultimately, like I said, I do prefer smaller, slimmer, lighter, easier to live with type technologies, shall we say. So yes, and that applies to my phone as well, like I mentioned. So although this did grow on me and I do like elements of it for the comfortability and the appearance, I would ultimately go back to the Apple Watch, just simply because it's just easier to live with. Simple as that. Now, my biggest issue with why I would still, you know, why I wouldn't forever change over to this and bin off my Apple Watch entirely is simply down to the fact that I have an iPhone. That's it. If I had an Android phone, I'd quite happily get this, because you get the full functionality. It would easily, seamlessly work between the two. But you know what Apple are like, they're very much like their own little ecosystem, don't they? And I've fallen for that. So everything I've got is Apple. So it'd be weird for me to suddenly get rid of the watch and have like a Google watch or an Android watch, should I say. So yeah, I think in an alternate universe, if I had an Android phone, I would definitely get this. But because I got an Apple phone, the Apple Watch will be the one that stays with me. So that's ultimately my thoughts and feelings on it. Now, other than that, I think they're very comparable in terms of what they can offer. You know, they both track your fit. I don't know why I'm turning this into a comparison video now. I guess it's because I know a lot of people have Apple Watches, and Apple, I guess, are one of the main competitors. But yeah, they both offer similar features. You know, you can adjust your music, you get your notifications come through, you can do all your fitness stuff, all your health stuff, you've got all the different apps and games and you name it, all of the typical smartwatch functions, so they're very comparable. I do also like the fact this has a much stronger battery life and is a lot more robust, so you can knock it about a lot and it will be absolutely fine. This I feel like I have to be more conscious of, and I would perhaps even suggest, you know, not that I've done it myself, but getting a case for this, whereas this, I feel like you wouldn't, you know, you'd be absolutely fine not even getting a watch case. So there are strengths and weaknesses to both. Now, do I think it's worth that price point of £202? Hell yes, I do. Absolutely, I do. Now, obviously it was priced £289 before, so I'd still say that's reasonable price, but £202 I'd say is actually a bargain. So if you've got an Android phone and you're in the market for a smartwatch, I would say definitely this is a strong contender. Now, this is the only other smartwatch I have used versus the Apple Watch, so I can't go saying, you know, speaking of how it compares to other Google Android type smartwatches, but with this, comparing it to the Apple Watch, this is a very, very solid option, especially, like I say, for that price point. So ultimately, I definitely do recommend it, and I have enjoyed the last couple of weeks using this. It blended into my life quite easily. You know, it was no drama. Like I said, the added weight and mass on my wrist was a bit weird to start with, but you get used to it. So yeah, a very solid watch, smartwatch at that. No real negatives to speak of, you know, nothing that I would say, oh no, don't buy it because of that. So yeah, solid product. So if you like what I've got to say about it, do head on over and have a look. I'll pop the link in the description for you guys. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on it and smartwatches in general. Do you have a smartwatch? What do you think of them? As always, stay smartwatching. Hello, you bastard.